My name is Emma, and I'm 29 years old. For years, my own family mocked my dreams, calling them impossible, ridiculous, and too big for someone like me. But the moment I walked into the Forbes gala as the youngest self-made CEO in my industry, I realized the greatest revenge isn't anger, it's success. Before I tell you how I turned their laughter into a daily reminder of their failure, take a moment to like and subscribe if you love stories about ambition, betrayal, and triumph. I read every single comment, and I'd love to know where you're watching from. My childhood home was modest, but my parents, Greg and Linda, had ambitions for me that always came wrapped in sarcasm and skepticism. My younger brother, Ryan, was their golden child, talented, charming, but unmotivated. I, on the other hand, had ideas that reached far beyond the small town we grew up in. I wanted to build businesses, launch projects, and travel the world. Every time I spoke of these dreams, their laughter would echo in the kitchen, mocking me, chipping away at my confidence. "You'll never make it, Emma. Focus on something realistic," my father would say, waving his hand dismissively while reading the newspaper. My mother would smirk, "Why aim so high? You'll just embarrass yourself." Even relatives joined in, calling me naive and unrealistic. But inside me burned a fire, a quiet insistence that one day, every laugh would feel like ashes in their mouths. School and college were no different. While Ryan coasted through life on charm and minimal effort, I spent late nights studying, hustling through internships, and launching small businesses that barely scraped by. My successes were met with tepid applause, or worse, jealousy masked as concern. "Don't get your hopes up," they'd say, "the world isn't kind to dreamers." I nodded, smiling politely, but every word etched itself into a ledger in my mind, one I would use later. The turning point came during my final year of college. I had an idea for a tech startup, an app that would change the way people connected professionally. I poured my savings, sleepless nights, and emotional energy into it. When I shared my prototype with my parents, they laughed. Literally laughed. "You really think people will pay for this? Are you serious?" Dad chuckled, shaking his head. Mom added, "I've seen better ideas from toddlers, Emma. Just focus on finding a safe job. I walked away that day, my throat tight but my resolve unshaken. That night, I swore silently that I would show them, not just to prove them wrong, but to prove to myself that ambition isn't a curse, it's a weapon if wielded correctly. Years of hard work followed. I bootstrapped my company from my small apartment, pitching investors who turned me down again and again. Every rejection fueled me more than the last, and every moment of doubt my family had instilled became a reason to persist. I learned to be ruthless with my time, smart with my money, and unwavering in my vision. By the time I turned 27, my app had exploded in popularity. I had investors, millions of downloads, and a team that believed in me completely. I still hadn't told my parents, though. Their laughter still haunted my memories, and I wanted the reveal to be unforgettable. The first moment came during a regional business conference. They showed up, claiming they were curious about what I had been doing with my life. I smiled politely, letting them bask in the confidence they assumed I lacked. Then, as the keynote began, I walked onto the stage, my company's revenue, user growth, and market impact displayed behind me. Every statistic, every achievement, every award flashed on the giant screen. Their jaws dropped. Their laughter? Silenced. Their smirks? Gone. Every step I had taken, every sleepless night, every small victory, they were now staring at the reality they had mocked. I didn't gloat verbally. My triumph was quiet, dignified, unstoppable. I watched them shift in their seats, embarrassed and awestruck, while I delivered my presentation with the poise and authority I had cultivated over years of struggle. But the real victory came months later, at the Forbes gala. I was invited as the youngest self-made CEO in my sector, a recognition that my parents had openly said I'd never achieve. I saw them in the crowd, Greg fidgeting in his seat, Linda whispering to herself, Ryan awkwardly trying to look supportive. I approached the stage to accept my award, and I noticed their eyes tracking me, not with pride, but with stunned disbelief. The applause was thunderous, and for the first time in years, I felt the full weight of validation, not from them, but from the world. My success had become a chain that held their doubt, their ridicule, and their underestimation as captive evidence of their mistake. The next conversation with them was almost anticlimactic. My father, usually brash and domineering, admitted with a voice tinged with humility, "I didn't believe in you. I was wrong." My mother's voice trembled. "Emma, you've really done it." I smiled, soft but firm. "It wasn't about proving you wrong. It was about proving myself right." And then came Ryan, my younger brother, who had never dared to challenge them. "Emma, I get it now. I should have seen it sooner." His words were clumsy but sincere, a small acknowledgement that sometimes, the world itself must teach lessons that family won't. The journey to this point wasn't easy. There were nights when I cried alone, wondering if I had the strength to continue. There were moments when investors rejected me because I was young, female, and inexperienced. And there were countless times when I questioned if all the effort was worth the eventual confrontation with my parents. But each time, I remembered the laughter, the dismissal, the constant undermining. And each time, I chose to rise, to grind, to succeed, not just for me, but for the future I had envisioned when no one believed it possible. Now, at 29, I run a multi-million-dollar company, mentor dozens of young women starting their businesses, and have created a life defined by freedom, wealth, and purpose. My parents are no longer critics, they are witnesses. Every conference, every media appearance, every feature in top publications reminds them of what they doubted. And while I don't relish in their embarrassment, I take quiet satisfaction in knowing that my ambition was never a mistake, but a prophecy of my success. The lesson I learned through this journey is simple: laughter at your dreams is never a verdict. It is fuel. Let it ignite your determination. Let it sharpen your vision. Let it remind you, every step you take, that the people who doubted you aren't anchors, they are milestones of the journey you will triumphantly surpass. Emma's journey from the girl whose ambitions were ridiculed to the woman whose success silenced the laughter is proof that the only approval you need is your own. And sometimes, the sweetest vindication is watching those who underestimated you witness your ascent, and realize they were wrong all along. If this story resonates, I want to hear from you. Share a moment when someone laughed at your dreams, and how you turned it into motivation. Your story might inspire someone else to take the leap. Subscribe for more stories about people who refuse to let doubt define them. Remember, ambition is never a flaw, it's a chain, a path, and a power that only you can wield. The ultimate twist? Emma's youngest brother, Ryan, once indifferent and complacent, joins her company months later, not out of obligation, but admiration. He becomes a top executive under her guidance, learning firsthand that true success doesn't demand permission or validation, it commands respect.